Can you imagine if India wins this match somehow or draws it? I honestly, in my, you know, pit of my heart, I don't believe that's going to happen. But could you imagine? All right, Mr. Gabe and CFA Nation. Nick here.
Gabe, the Night Watchman. Oof. And the Rat Monster. The disappointed Aussie fan. Oh my gosh, what a horrible. I got to tell you right now. I know before we even get into, you guys know what this is. R3 Wickets. Can I just get a little rant off my show? I'm just a little bit, okay? You know, people say, oh, you guys are lucky, man. You guys have seen some great things. And we have, right? We, from the first time we seen cricket, we've seen a double super over in the IPL, right? We saw the West Indies beat England in England. We've seen so many, but it seems like so many of the things that happen are always bad for me. I had that A.B. de Villiers debacle, all right? 54 runs in the death overs, and 3 overs, actually. They covered it. Are you kidding me? Like, Nick, the stuff that happens is ridiculous. And I finally thought that the tide was turning when the debacle was on your side, all right? Earlier in this series, India all out, for 36. And I'm like, finally, the salt is off of me. But not too long. But not for long. It had to come back. It had to come back. Oh, my gosh. We're talking about the fourth and final test match of this fourth and final test match of this tour, and India versus Australia. And oh my gosh, before I sound too salty, let me congratulate Indian fans. Let me congratulate you, Nick. Again, we saw history, something that hasn't happened in, 33 years? But it always comes at my expense. Oh, come on. God is a Boston fan. God is from Boston. He must be, because I'm telling you, he's a Red Sox fan. He personally hates me and the Knicks and James Dolan. Nick, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, but I was going to say, you know what? I enjoy your misery like no one else when it comes to cricket. But I'm not joining your misery, because what we witnessed was history, man. What we witnessed is literally the improbable. The guy who called the home run shot off Kirk Gibson. I saw the improbable happen, or whatever he said. Unbelievable. So what we saw doesn't come around too often. 33 years. We were still young lads, right, when that happened last. And when it comes to that, it's just whether you're an Australia fan or not, you've got to just sit there and applaud and appreciate what happened, even though you don't want to. It's against your squad. I so badly want to talk about this overall series, but this is for this fourth match, like Gabe said. So this match, in the third match, I thought that I'll never, ever see something as great as what I saw when Vihari and Ashwin did what they did. But don't worry, because both those guys are injured in this match. Don't worry, because everyone else and their brother is injured in this match. And what you had, Gabe, from the overall squad that shipped to Australia, do you understand that in this series they've used every single one but Kuldeep Yadav? Every single one but Kuldeep Yadav in some way, shape, or form.
It's improbable. Like you said, this should not have happened. This is all the odds are stacked against you, and somehow you still find a way. And it's, you know what this is? This is a Miracle Mets, all right? The 1980, the 87 or 78?
The Miracle Mets were 69.
69, thank you. The Miracle Mets. That's what it is, because it was a miracle. No Indian fan can honestly tell me in this comment that after all out 36 in the first, you guys were confident. No way, especially when no Kohli and all the injuries. No way. And somehow it still happened. Like Nick said, the last time that the wall, fell, the last time that this wall fell was 33 years ago. We were young lads. I was in elementary school playing hide and go seek, or hide and go get it if we had a couple girls. But you know what I mean? Like that's how long ago it was, man. Are you kidding me? History. And I think that I know what guy has Nick gushing the most is that one of the guys that he planted his flag on. Go back in CFA Nation. Go back in the archives when Nick was like, man, Pat should definitely take over for Coley. And all the Pat haters came out. His defense is horrible. He's immature. This, and that. And you know what? In the IPL, he showed that. But Nick planted his flag and said, nah, he sold me on the guy. And we're like, nah, Pat's a savage. He deserves it. Guys, Pat won this series for you. Bottom line, it could have been drawn out by the great performance by Ashwin and
Bahari.
And Bahari, and Pat could have chose to draw this out. He could have played it safe, but Pat was Pat, man, and he said, "Not today, not on my watch." Now I know, Nick. How many years of your life did you lose? How many more grades did you gain every time you saw him take one of those Pantonian swings? And you're like, what are you doing?
You know what? Honestly, I got to be honest. I wasn't really that stressed out. And the reason why is because everything he was doing was working. And everything that didn't work out for him, he got away with. He had one or two balls that went straight in the air and not even that far from the stumps, from the crease. And there was no one around. So I'm just sitting here. At one point, it was 3 balls on like 3 runs, like 20 balls or something like that. Like, it was just a matter of don't let there be a collapse, But I hear what you're saying because this guy is an animal. There's so much I want to say about him, but let's back it up just a little bit. So let's start off with just a little bit of information. He had a lot of runs scored in this match, right? The series is 1-1 in a draw, so it's tied at this point. The tour is tied at this point. Australia scored 369 runs in their first innings. They were at like something like 202 loss or something like that. 369. And then everyone, including myself, I'm thinking like, okay, well, that was fun. And in my stream at the end of day 1, I did a stream before you jumped on. I'm going to put the clip right now. Australia's combined wickets, 1,013 on their squad they got going on right now. India's combined wickets, 16. Oh, my gosh. This is David versus Goliath. And you know how that one ended, ladies and gentlemen. In case you didn't hear that story, the little man won. I'm talking about David and Goliath. And I said what I just showed you guys right now. I'm going to throw it in there. I said, don't forget how that ended, that David and Goliath. And I was saying that just in high hopes. I didn't truly believe that nonsense. But 369. And then what did India do?
Dude, 336. 336 first inning. Let me just say one more thing, Nick. I will say this. As an Australian fan, you can't even be mad because we complained about, the Aussies can't score more than 200. They're barely cracking 200 in the first, that first game that India was dominating until the collapse, right? The 36 allow. And even in the second test match, same thing. They couldn't score. We scored. There's no way. Like, who are you mad at? Other than Tim Payne with the drops, who are you mad at? Guys did their jobs. It's like Nick said, you know what? No matter what India did, it was working. Sometimes it's just destined to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at the numbers. Like, who am I going to go off on? Of course, I'm going to go off on Tim Payne. But I complained about, Steve Smith putting up runs. Wade, even though he got shut out one inning, put up like 50-plus runs another inning. Guys did their jobs. I mean, what else can you ask? Honestly, you can't ask for more. And sometimes, I hate saying this, but sometimes you just got to tip your cap. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap and say, they were the better team, man. It was a better man. I mean, what else can you say? And so that's why I don't want to really start this off negative. I want to start off positive. And Nick, since your team made history, what did you like, my friend?
I liked, and it's a common theme in this series, but especially in the last 2 matches, the last 3, I liked the fight. These guys had serious fight inside them, right? These guys had so many cards stacked. I mean, it's like a movie where the protagonist has everything stripped away from them. and they can't do anything because the antagonist is just taking everything away. And I'm not saying that Australia is the villain here. I'm just saying for the protagonist side, everything's taken away and they can't do what they naturally can do. They still have to overcome. That's what this was like. I mean, going back to that first innings for India, at one point it was like 190 for like 5 or 6, and all you had left was a tail end left. Well, that tail end got 148, as you say, cousin. 148, 260s. 260s for crying out loud by Sundar and by Thakur. You know, Agarwal, Pont, the guys who you expect to get to 60s, they went down for 61 combined.
Quick, right after the lunch break. Quick, they went out.
60s by Sundar and Thakur. And Thakur was battling injury in that first inning of bowling. They had to take him out for a short time. I love the fight. I love the fact that Sundar and Thakur said, not on our watch. Not on our watch. We're going to stay here. We're going to stay pat. And then you're talking about the glorious second innings. And we're talking about India right here, what I like. The glorious second innings. Rohit goes down after 21 balls, only 7 runs. You got Gill, the youngster. And I asked this question myself too. Talk about sticking your flag. You stuck your flag on this kid. And is Gill ready for this moment? I'm not sure he is. This guy was ready for the moment. And he has shown in this series he was ready for the moment. This guy busted a 91 on 146, a strike rate of 62.
Savage.
When Rohit goes down, when the hitman, you're already done? That's it? Okay, it's up to me. Pujara doing Pujarian things, right? But Shubman Gill, I mean, this guy had everything working. He had the defend. He had the boundaries. He had the sixers for crying out loud. He knew when to be aggressive. And I'm going to give a whole lot of love to Pont in a second. A whole lot of love. Pont can't do Pont things without Gill doing Gill things. It's as simple as that. Gill busted 91. And don't tell me that Gill was trying to protect. Don't tell me that Gill was trying to be casual about it. Pujara doing Pujarian things. I have complained about him probably 5 times this series. He's in the Jadeja club. I will never complain about him ever again. You go do you. I was listening to Bogley. I'm listening to a lot of people this morning. Listen to Bogley talking about how Bogley loves himself some Pujara and how so many people in this series, like myself, were questioning, why is he even here? It's not effective what you're doing. You keep doing you, Pujara, because we need you to keep doing you. It's unbelievable what he did. This guy got hit, Gabe, like 13 times. Do you understand that? And that's what I'm not going to touch too much on because I'm not going to bring any controversy in here. But this Indian batting team, they got beat up over and over. Pujara 13 times, in the head a few times, in the elbow a few times. He took his licks. The one that he reacted to the most on was the one that hit his fingers with the gloves and he dropped the bat. And this guy stood in there every single time. Wouldn't it be the easiest for him to stop being Pujara and not take 200 balls when a tenth of them are going to hit you?
I will tell you what. A lot of people miss how big Pujara was in both innings because whether he puts up the big score or not, he wears out bowlers. Towards the end, man, Patty Cummings looked done. And Patty Cummings was the best a man could be. He was getting wicked, but these guys were literally tired. Nathan Lyon was tired because they're throwing so many balls, and this guy's just making them waste them and waste them. And his defense, it's a beautiful thing to watch. He's the unselfish player that sets it up for the other players. You know what I'm saying, Nick? And I, as a novice, did not understand how important that was. I was one of those guys that say, what's Pujara doing on this team? But when you look at the entire series, not just this, I heard a stat, bro, in the entire 4-series test match, this guy saw like 1,000 balls. 1,000.
And he was the 4th highest score.
You don't think arms are hurting at that point? Guys' arms must feel like jello. 1,000 deliveries he ate up. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And I mean, that's just the value of having a Pujara. So you mentioned that, and I was one of the guys that said, who is this guy? Get him out of here. You know, bring me some of the youngsters from the IPL that you and I recognize. No, this team needs Pujara. So not to interrupt you, but you're right. A lot of people, including myself, said that, and we were wrong. I was wrong.
Absolutely. He was unbelievable. And you can't – 13 balls. This guy did not get scared. If he gives up his wicket, I don't know what's going to happen because now – you only have 2 wickets in hand when you're trying to do that T20 chase in the death. Unbelievable. And then let's talk about Pont. I mean, Rahane was doing great too. Rahane had a strike rate over 100. Great ball by Cummins. Man, Cummins, he was doing everything he could to try to put Australia on his back. But then you have Pont go in there, right? And you got to love what Washington Sundar did again as a batsman and whatnot. But Pont, do you realize, and I heard this several times in interviews this morning, do you realize that at lunch, at drinks, they did not, as a team, discuss, we're going to start chasing at this point. We're going to start turning up at this point. We're going to go for the win. We heard in the commentator's box, oh my gosh, India's going for the win. Do you realize that was Pont right there? That he, it's getting me emotional talking about, giving me goosebumps. He, at a young age, stepped in there in Brisbane at the GABBA with the whole nation on his side, hoping for a miracle. He didn't even need to be told by his captain. He went out there and said, this is what I do. I mean, honestly, I'm getting choked up thinking about it because it's that dramatic. He went up there and said, this is what I do. Watch me work. And he was a maestro on so many different levels. No one was going to get him out. And I am so proud of this kid. And it's not anything to do with me just rooting for him this entire time. It's the fact that he did what we've all, and myself included, have torn him apart for doing. Right. Be conservative. Be careful. And Bogley once again mentioned it in his little thing on Crick Buzz. He said, I'm sitting there telling him to defend, and they're not, and they're winning the match, and I'm hoping that they're going to win the match. He said it's a different mindset with these younger players like Gill and Pont. And who are the biggest scorers in this innings, in that chase? Gill and Pont. I don't ever want to hear about Pont does not belong. He's not going to be MS Dhoni. Stop that. That's disrespectful to MS Dhoni to say he's the next MS Dhoni. MS Dhoni is on Mount Rushmore, for crying out loud. Right. But you're telling me you're going to follow up Dhoni with what Pont can do? You're telling me that the opposition, now they have to worry that they're not just going to lay and die and hope for the draw. They're actually going to come after us? Right. I mean, so amazed. I am so proud of this kid. He was so happy. And when they celebrated, did Pont go out there and do all the celebrations by himself and point to himself? No. He carried that Indian flag, and he walked around with his team. He walked around with Boomerang, with everyone there, with smiles on their faces. They weren't trying to show anyone up. It was absolutely fantastic. I love the fight. I love how this has got to be a movie at some point. This has got to be a movie. Me and Gabe will play the physio guys who are the real stars of this story, right? But this has got to be a movie. This was an amazing thing. I can talk forever about it. Gabe, those are just a few of the things that I even mentioned the bowling. Talk about the bowling. Let me say this real quick. They had basically 4 bowlers for half of this match because Saini went down injured. 4 bowlers, and guess what? None of those guys were on the squad in day one, right? As far as I remember, let me just double check to make sure. Siraj wasn't there until the second match. None of those guys were on the squad in match 1. None of them. And those 4, especially when Saini went out, they carried this team. Unbelievable.
Again, I can't say enough about what the Indian team did, man. And sometimes you got to just tip your hat, As on the Australian side, what did I like? I like that they finally put up runs. Here's the thing, Australian fans, don't fret. Don't fret. Do you really think, and I'm just being candid here, when you can put up these kind of runs, all right, 336 in the first innings, 369 in the first innings, 294 in the second innings. Not too many teams with this bowling is going to be able to chase that down. Okay, I'm sorry. New Zealand may be the first team, the number 1 team in the rankings, but New Zealand isn't 22, 23 players deep like India, where if guys go down after that, no worry, we got somebody else. I can tell you right now, my West Indies isn't deep like that. Neither is England. All right, let's just be real. I saw England play the other day, and you know what? Joe Root had an unbelievable performance, but once you get past Ben Stokes and Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow, wow, he's on the test team. Remember, we were like, Johnny Bairstow, why isn't this guy on there? And Butler, why did they have Johnny Bairstow on there? Because they need more scoring. Not too many teams are going to be able to contend with that. So if you're an Australian fan, you got to be real good, because my biggest complaint was we're not scoring. We can't put all the pressure on the bowling. Now, knowing that they can put up 300 plus, Steve Smith is back. Okay, Lobashank 108. David Warner got a 1 in the first inning, got a 48, almost a 50 in the second. David Warner is back. We're putting up runs. I'm not going to complain. Sometimes the other team just plays a little bit better, and that's what happened here. But you know what? I'll go to South Africa with this squad. I'll go to West Indies. I'll go to England, Pakistan, whoever. All right, this team, give me an Australian team that averages 300 per inning. That means 600 runs total, and I guarantee you this team is going to make the playoff. They'll be in the championship run. All right, there's nothing to complain. What did I like? Again, 108 in the first inning by Marcus Loboshenk. People were talking about how there was the unfortunate event where the mic stayed on and they were talking about his form or whatever. I don't care what his form looks like. The guy's a savage. He can hit. The guy is, people in baseball is the same thing. If a guy is on unorthodox, they don't want him, right? In Moneyball, Nick, you and I know about the movie Moneyball, how they were able to get some really valuable players because they didn't look the part. They didn't like the submariners, the pitchers that threw funny. It doesn't matter. You can perform. And Loboshenk, loose but change, can perform. All right. Cameron Green, 47. I mean, the guy almost busted a 50 that first inning. Cameron Green, I was expecting him to be Ben Stokes. That was sold to me. He's not Ben Stokes, but the guy is really good, and I can see how with him, Steve Smith, and Loboshenk, we've got that foundation with Warner as well. Now, Marcus Harris, disappointing, and I understand we had some injuries, but guess what? India had some injuries, and the guys that stepped up performed. Marcus Harris did not perform. Okay, I understand that Pekulski, I can never pronounce his name. Pekulski was hurt, but you got to have somebody else to step in. I'm sorry, Tim Payne, he got a 50 in that first inning, but those drops were humongous. Those were some of the biggest drops. Challenges. He missed a challenge last night. He should have challenged, and he would have had it. And I get it. The umpires were bad the entire time, so you don't know the challenge or not. But this isn't the first time Tim Payne's been bad with the challenges, all right? I'll get to that when we talk about what we don't like. But as far as the scoring is concerned, when you put up 300 runs, over 300 runs, basically, if you average both of them up, that's what I liked. As far as the bowling is concerned, guys, Patty Cummings is an absolute savage. I don't want to hear $2 million. What are they, crazy? Absolutely. IPL paid $2 million. If you don't want to pay it, CSK will pay it. Give him his cash because this guy is a savage. He's a big wicket taker. He's going to take it when you need that wicket, all right? The guy bowled, 22 overs? No, 24 overs. He had the lowest economy rate, Nick, at 229 in that second inning when everybody was getting hit on Australia. He said, not on my watch, and he got 4 wickets. The loss wasn't on him. Some other guys, Mitchell Stark, 75 runs, no wickets, almost a 5 economy. Mitchell Stark, fix it. But with that being said, you know what? Patty Cummings, the guy's a personal hero. Not to mention, look at that jawline, man. He looks like he could be like Tom Brady. It's not fair, by the way, in life. I got to have a conversation with God when I get up there. Because isn't it fair? It's not fair that Tom Brady looks the way he does and can play football and is one of the greatest players of all time. Because if he wasn't a football player, he'd be an actor or a model. Same thing with Patty Cummings. Is it fair? Look at bald. I'm just 40. Look at this guy. Full luscious mane hair. Look at that jawline. It's like they drew him in a comic book. And he can play cricket. It's not fair. Me and God are going to have a long conversation. Like, bro, you want to spread out the wealth a little bit? You know what I'm saying? Just spread it out a little bit. Man. But for me, that's what I liked. Again, they started scoring. So I know that moving forward in the next test series, I can count on that. And hopefully, I'm sorry, a lot of people were talking about it last night. Maybe it's Philippe in there next time. And I know Philippe can score. Not sure how his defense matches up with Tim Payne, but a little Philippe might boost that up a little bit more. I'll take my chances with this squad. Nick, I don't think you can find anything, but what didn't you like?
So I got like 1.5, right? But let me just say about Tim Payne, because there's going to be a lot of people calling for his job. There was one guy in this entire series that got 350s. That was Pujara, right? There was a bunch of guys that tied for 250s combined. Tim Payne's one of those guys. Just saying. So, what did I not like? My little half is Rohit Sharma, just because I was sold that this guy's going to come in and save the squad, right? And he got a 44 in the first innings. And the reason why I'm not going to bash him is not because he got 44. It's because India didn't chase until the third to last over. We needed every single one of those runs. So whatever he got us, we needed as an Indian squad. But I'm a little concerned. Maybe it was too much time off. Maybe it was, just coming back off the injury or whatever it is. I'm just a little concerned. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to complain about Agrawal because, again, we needed his 38 runs and his 20+. We need every single bit of it. There was one guy, in my opinion, I hate to do it to this guy. I really do. But there was one guy who did score some runs, but really didn't perform where we wanted to, and that was Samey. And I know the man got injured. I know it. And obviously he was affected in the second innings because his economy rate was 6.5. 6.5. He only bowled 5 overs, for crying out loud. Gave up 32 runs. He had 0 wickets in both innings. He missed a whole lot of the first one because of injury. And I'm not going to destroy him, but I'm just saying in a team, in a series, in a match that was just so amazing for India and how they fought back, that was the one thing I didn't like. But what else I did not like is the fact that I did not mention Lord Siraj and what I liked. This guy, unbelievable. Do you understand? This guy had, I think, the 3rd most wickets in the entire series. First most for India. This guy had a 5er in the second innings, and he got him 1 wicket in the first innings. This guy has gone from, starting later on in life with cricket, coming from very humble beginnings, like I mentioned in the video I did, being an IPL guy who wasn't even your best IPL player on the squad. I think he was number 2 in wickets on the RCB, to saving the 4th match with his 5-wicket haul when we had nothing but guys who were afterthoughts in the original starting 11. This guy was unbelievable. Super proud of him. I wanted to mention him, and that's what I mainly did not like is that I forgot about him. There's so many guys in here. Nataraj, I was proud of him with his 3 wickets. Thakur, like I said, he was a beast. He had 7 wickets altogether. He almost got his 5er. Sundar, he got himself some serious wickets and some serious runs. It was just an amazing performance all around by guys that I did not believe in. And that's another thing I did not like is my in-belief, if that's a word, of these guys' potential.
Talking about Lord Siraj, I didn't realize until you had that video that you did, and I was watching it, you talked about he didn't touch a cricket ball till he was 20 years old. Are you kidding me?
Unless I heard that wrong. That's what I think they said. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's insane. So even his story makes you more of a fan, all right? But I'm just like, wow, in awe of the talent. What did I not? You know who he reminds me of? Tim Duncan. Did you know Tim Duncan didn't touch a basketball from the Caribbean till he was a full-blown? He was like 18 years old, and Akeem Olajuwon. Talent is talent, guys. That's why in my heart, I know that once they start playing cricket in America, we're going to go. We got talent out here. We have athletes. Give us some time, and we're going to be able to teach guys how to play cricket. Look up Akeem Olajuwon, all right? This guy came from, I forgot what country he's from in Africa, but the guy was a football player, soccer player. He came to the States, learned to play basketball, and is basically a Hall of Famer. Akeem Olajuwon is a Hall of Famer. Tim Duncan from the Caribbean, all right? I think he's from like St. Croix or St. Lucia, something like that. In any event, did not play as a kid, like everybody does through, AAU ball and then high school. And I think he started playing in college when he first came out here, bro. And the guy turned into an animal. That's what Siraj is, a guy that didn't grow up with the game like that and has that talent. That's why athletes are athletes. And sometimes God gives you that natural athleticism. You just got to be put in the right position to succeed, which sometimes takes a little bit of luck. Let's be real. Siraj would not have had an opportunity to show the world what he could do if it wasn't for the injuries. You know what I mean? So even in adversity, sometimes you can find a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise that these other guys went down because it gave them the opportunity to perform. With that being said, what did I not like on my Australian side? Like I said, I'm not going to bag on the scoring, because even though, the first innings, David Warner was not looking right. He got out on not on a duck. He might as well. It was 1 run. But second inning, he almost got himself a 50. You saw as the game progressed, the guy's starting to look like himself again. All right. I'm okay with that. Marcus Harris, like I said, as a replacement, you get your shot to play. You gotta do your job. So I'm good with that. What I'm not okay with is Tim Payne, and I'm going to tell you why. not only are you the captain, every wicket is so huge. When I tell you it's so huge, it's so huge because there's no clock here, all right, people? You got to get those wickets or the game is going to get drawn out. Bottom line. And for Australia, if the game got drawn out, you might as well have lost because you're not India retains the title, you know what I mean? The championship. And those drops were so huge, Nick. You're the captain of this team. You got to lead by example. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. You can't have those drops. And to me, the way he used the reviews, it's like he was asking his guys because he didn't have any confidence. You're the closest one. You're behind the wickets, man. You know what I mean? Like I understand when Kohli goes to the wicket keeper. Hey, what do you think? You know what I mean? Because Kohli's far away. He's not there. You're behind the wickets. You got the best vantage point. And there was some that he challenged, which I didn't understand. And then some that he should have challenged. It was just, I feel like the walls were caving in on him. And even though he's a veteran, didn't you feel, especially towards the end, Nick, like the game got too big for him? Like the moment got too big for him? Like, oh my gosh, this is all falling on me. And I dropped this match because he knows he had those huge drops in the first innings. And possibly in his mind, he's thinking, you know, this is on me. And to his credit, when he came out in the interview, he was talking glowingly about India and how they had to fight and, you know, don't take anything away from them, guys. These guys, I don't, you know, like even JL, I was shocked if you heard JL's talking about it. And they actually made it's on YouTube. There's a video of just JL's comments about the Indian team. Like, man, these guys are super stacked. They're talented. Not too many teams could come in and have as many injuries as they did and many replacements and still perform. So I give Tim Payne credit for that. But if you feel like he lost a step, especially in that second inning, you feel like he lost a step and maybe it's time for some new blood. That's going to
be wrong. But to that point, I was really impressed in the first two matches with how much positivity he was exuding when his team was bowling and how much chatter he was having. And he was like, come on, Gary. I feel like that died down. I feel like there's a few times he tried it in yesterday's day of match, but it died down a whole lot.
Exactly.
And I think that goes to the confidence.
Exactly. I feel like as the game progressed, once that second inning started, and he's seeing, man, these guys are actually going to chase this. These guys are, like you said, the confidence went down, and I just feel like, oh my gosh, his energy went down. You're right. You didn't hear that. And, you know, it's unfortunate that those three drops was such a big part of this, but it is what it is, all right? Now, you know, Mitchell Starc got pumped for some runs, but then again, you know, in that, so did Patty Cummings in that first inning. Even though Patty Cummings had a lower economy rate, he bowled more overs. You know, again, when another team is hot, they're hot. There's only so much you could do about it. It is what it is. Josh Hazelwood, 5 wickets in that first over. Like I said, to me, for as many runs as Mitchell Starc came up in between both innings, the guy only got 2 wickets. That was a little bit of a disappointment. But other than that, like I said, with this team, we'll go bang. Go ahead, South Africa. See if you can do that. Go ahead, you know, England. See if you could do that. Go ahead. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the Ashes. You know what I mean? I can't wait for the Ashes. Stop it. With this squad, if you give me 300 with this bowling, we're going to bang. I guarantee you we're going to bang. It was just that India had such an unbelievable performance. Honestly, they would have beat any team. You know, it was like the other day, right? Not the other day, about 2 weeks ago, Nick. First inning, Sri Lanka went off. I think it was Sri Lanka and smacked. I'm going to tell you, they smacked South Africa. 400 plus runs. First inning, South Africa said, here, 600. Like, no matter what you do, I'm going to do better. And that's what happened here. You know what I mean? Like, oh my, we put up 650 plus runs and still lost. What else do you guys want? You know what I mean?
South Africa won that match without having to go out for their second innings. They won by an innings.
But it was crazy. It was crazy. Nick, what did you learn? Because what I learned was actually very, I think from both sides, I learned the same thing. But I'll let you go first. What did you learn about this game?
You go ahead, my friend. I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
You know what I learned is that both of these teams play the cricket the right way. And what I mean about that is that they play in the spirit of cricket, okay? Australia could have easily started negative bowling a lot earlier, and a couple guys threw some negative balls, but they could have just thrown a lot of wides and not given India the chance to chase and just said, you know what, we'll take the draw. And that's not in the spirit of the game. You know what I mean? Australia was still trying to win. All right. Gary got himself a wicket. He got a catch as well. Patty Cummings, like, no, not on my watch. They fought. They fought, and both sides did. It would have been easy for India to say, man, let's just draw this thing out and, you know, play safe and we retain the cup. But the fact that the win was so big there, you know what I'm saying? It gave it a chance to make history. History doesn't happen sometimes without both sides. We don't get the thriller in Manila, if you don't get both sides agreeing to the fight, all right? We don't get the epic fight between Ali and Frazier if both sides don't say, yeah, we're agreed to this. Sometimes it takes both teams. You know what I mean? You can only be as great as the competition allows you to be. And the fact that India pushed Australia as much as they did, again, they scored 650 plus runs and lost. But again, like you said, they needed every one of those runs in order to win this. It came down to the last 3 overs. They won in. They had 3 overs left. It wasn't like it was a blowout. It gave these teams are both fighters. You know what I mean, bro? And win or lose, I love that. I remember, and people don't understand this mentality, but it's from boxing. Okay, you either get dropped or you get. You know what I mean? You either get dropped or you win. Because that's why it's in it for your corner to throw in the towel. And sometimes corners have to protect fighters, but that's how you've been taught. You walk in that ring and you walk out or you get carried out. But you don't do what No Mas did and said no. That's just like unheard of in boxing. I don't care if you kill me. That's just, it is what it is. That's just how it is. And for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, No Mas, Roberto Duran, one of the greatest fighters of all time. He beat the bricks off of Sugar Ray Leonard in their first fight. Sugar Ray come back in the second fight and absolutely punished him and made him quit. That doesn't happen in boxing, people. The guy was literally himself, not his corner. He's like, no, Mas, no, I can't take it anymore. And wow. Look, just chills right now talking about that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, here, you beat me. Because I'm not giving in. I don't even want the draw. I'm going to risk losing in order to win, in order to come in here and prove the point and break this 33-year record. And on the Australian side, again, they could have, done the unscrupulous thing, bald negative lines, and we're not going to take the loss. Let them take the trophy. Let it draw it out, but we're not going to take the loss. But they didn't play that way. And to me, that's good sportsmanship and playing in the spirit of the game, Nick.
I hear you, and I'm going to try to say this with as much neutrality as possible. It's just what I saw, and I seem to be laser focused sometimes. So I didn't know too much on the other side, and I get it. It's part of the game. But I saw quite a few bouncers. I saw quite a few body shots. I saw quite a bunch of aggressive bowling in more than one innings from Australia towards India, and I wasn't a huge fan of that. Now, we have a lot of viewers and a lot of friends that we've met that are Australia fans. I'm not trying to tick anyone off. I'm just trying to be as neutral as possible. That's what I noticed, right? And so I'm going to leave it just at that. But what did I learn about this match? 33 years. 33 years was the last time they lost a match at the GABBA. Australia did. I mean, this was when you're an Australian fan and you're sitting there like, how was this series tied? At least we got the GABBA. At least we got Brisbane. They're not going to beat us there because we have 33 years of history on us. And not just that, the reports came in, this guy's out and this guy's out. Bumrah too. Jadeja as well. I mean, all these guys are out. It wasn't something that seemed possible. Warren had a great quote on his Twitter feed. He tweeted last night. He was talking to Australia in his tweet, and he said, there's nothing wrong and nothing shameful about losing to a better team. And that's got to give you chills if you are a fan of cricket, not just India, but cricket, where there is a team out there, a dangerous team out there who, and we keep saying it, but they lost everybody. And they were still better than Australia. In Australia, It wasn't a draw. If they drew, that would be a huge win because they had all their main A-listers gone. But what I learned is more of a reaffirmation of how much I love sports. This is why I'm a sports fanatic, because I love movies and sports are just as dramatic. The scripts, you cannot write on your legal notepad. They happen in front of us. And what happened in this match was just absolutely unbelievable. This is why Test is the best format, hands down. And Bogley mentioned this. He said Test players, the young players, hopefully watched this yesterday and realized that in Test you get rewarded for hard work. You get rewarded for outlasting and for patience. And India definitely was rewarded for that. When you look at the history of all the series of India and Australia, it's mostly won by the home squad. And a lot of times there's a lot of whitewashing going on. There was no whitewash right here. This was the second time that India went into Australia and beat them. I think someone said the third time overall in a row or something like that. That had never been done. This was like the third or fourth highest chase ever in Australia by any other squad. I mean, there's just so many things that are, and we had rain that delayed this quite a bit, which is why they had to come down to the last 3 overs. It was such an amazing thing to watch. And it was something that we would not even known about. It wouldn't have been on our radar if we didn't get into cricket about 13 months ago. So I learned that this game is absolutely amazing. I learned that watching this game and learning about it makes you feel better about humanity, for crying out loud, because these stories are out there and you're watching and witnessing. It makes me proud rooting for India to know that this has they got a serious squad. Now, they got to be careful. They got a lot of decisions to make when people are getting healthy, and they got to be careful not to get too overconfident. But I just absolutely loved every bit of it. And yes, I'm biased because I'm rooting for India. So, I mean, if I was an Australia fan, I'd be hurting. But I'm really impressed. All the Australia fans I see tweeting, I see Instagram messengers commenting on our channel, on our videos, they're all talking about, hey, that was amazing. No, and that's a true cricket fan right there. Spirit of cricket right there.
You know, it's funny. So one of the commentators said something funny. But it's so true. And go ahead and try to tell any of these guys on this team, oh, you're a temporary anything, or you're just a fill-in, or you're a backup. In their hearts, none of them think they're backups. They're just somebody better that's there. But you think that, and Shubman Gill doesn't think I deserve to start. You don't think every single one of those guys, from Pant to Siraj, and like you said, there's going to be some tough decisions to make. But none of these guys think of themselves as, oh, I'm a backup. Bro, I'm a cricket player. I'm a test cricketer. And what I want, and I'm glad you mentioned it, this is why test is the best format. And I think that the accolades that come along with succeeding in test is so huge. I would love my West Indies squad to see that, because unfortunately, our better players don't play on the test side. Part of it is because, again, you know, our board doesn't pay these guys what they should be getting paid. But there's something about playing for your country and playing in tests. You know what I'm saying, Nick? Where I would love to see some of our best West Indian players also play tests. You know what I'm saying, dude? And not lose a guy like Jofra Archer, who's now playing for England. You know what I'm saying? Like it's such a sense of pride for a nation. Like you said, it makes you feel good about your humanity in general. So for these younger guys, I might think, who cares about tests? You know, I'll get paid more playing in the IPL or the BBL or whatever. You're not going to get those kind of accolades. And it's not going to be that kind of – the game isn't going to be as revered as that game was yesterday. Does that make sense? You know, IPL championship is nice. The CPL championship is nice. BBL championship is nice. Even ODI or T20. But in tests, when you do this kind of thing, it puts you on a different level, man. It puts you on a different level. So, oh my gosh.
That's all I got. Right. King of the Hill.
King of the Hill, brother. But that's all I got. Again, India fans, I tip my hat. Great. I'm not even mad about this one. That was just a unbelievable performance, and it is what it is. Hopefully, right now we got the West Indies who's getting ready to play Bangladesh in the next series, and then I think it's. Did I see that right? England's playing tomorrow as well. They start a series.
Sri Lanka, yeah, and they got India in a few weeks too.
Then they got India. So, oh my gosh, so much test coming up. Oh, I love it.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for checking us out. If you stuck around the entire time, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out Boring Reviews and see what we got going over there if you're a fan of movies. And we still have Cricket Tuesday over there. And if you like more cricket, if you need more cricket, go and check out Cricket for Us 2.0 and see what he's got going on over there. But with all that being said, thank you so much for checking us out. Let us know what your thoughts are. I can't wait to interact with you and talk to you, especially those Indian fans. We can celebrate together. And, don't worry, Australia fans. I got a few shoulders for you to cry on. But with all that being said, until next time.
That's 6 runs.